Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Gundam the 8th MS Team podcast that stopped listening to you a long time ago. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Spence.
And we're here to talk about Gundam the 8th MS Team, Episode 11, The Shuddering Mountain, Part 2.
Okay, before we get into the actual episode, I'm going to ask the traditional question. At this point, are you guys still watching the intro, or are you skipping right to the episode?
Again, I'm watching it on Hulu streaming, so it's sort of like I just let it go.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it shows me like 5 Carvana commercials in a row as punishment.
He's not wrong.
Shout out to my brother Tom, who shared his Hulu password.
Go, Tom.
Some points off for not buying the ad-free version, but that's fine.
Yeah, but who wants to pay extra money for that? You could do the extra money and get ESPN Plus and Disney Plus along with it, which is what I did. But no, man.
Speaking of siblings, though, I think we have some pretty good interactions right off the top of this episode.
Yes, so I'm going to go with this is a very normal reaction that Genias is having right now when everything is fine. Between the laughter and the coughing up blood.
I thought this was the funniest thing because he's over here just having a celebration and then out of nowhere it's just cough up blood, bleeding, and pass out standing up, fall over, and your sister just goes, "Where's the research crew? Probably getting drunk somewhere. You murdered them, didn't you?" Like I wanted her to be like, "You murdered them, didn't you?"
She knows. She just like stares at him.
Get your suit on or whatever.
Fine, put on a suit.
Yeah. No F
also,
given.
I do like the fact that he calls Apsalus his son, which makes her Apsalus's aunt, I guess?
Aunt or stepmom, because
there's some questionable lineage there, unfortunately. Although there's some fantastic animation in this episode, even right off the top. They get the Apsalus up, and that's all boss, and then they use the laser to cut through the countryside, and that's all boss.
And I think this is probably one of the first episodes where we get to see the Fetties be badasses, because that laser cutting through that transporter, and then the guys in the busted Zaku that looks awesome, and I was hoping for a fight. It didn't make it.
Yeah.
It looked really great falling in the sky and then just turned into ash because it got wrecked. Like, these guys, I don't know what their plan was, like how they were going to get out of being like basically surrounded by the Fetties. I guess they thought the Apsalus could be like the savior and get them out of this mess, but it is not.
Yeah, and Aina pretty much says that, like, yeah, we can take out the base, but they still have air superiority, so our only hope is to surrender and give the team, like, give the med evac ship time to get away. And Genias feels this is treason. But I do like the fact that, like, Ryer and Kojima are in, like, their box of TVs in the base, and they actually like flinch away when they see the footage of the laser firing for the first time, even though it's not actually firing at them.
Yeah, firing through the screen. I thought that was a great scene actually as well. And Michael does.
We do get the cool cutaway of like them on the ridge, and like she just missed all of the suits.
Yeah, and Michael underlines that by saying, you know, if she really wanted to, she could have killed us all.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Elidor is just totally freaking out.
Speaking of soldiers freaking out, we do have Shiro, who immediately says, "You know what, guys? I quit."
So it looks like he's done trying to be leader, and looks like Elidor only had one episode of badassdom in him. That's all he got. That's all he can do.
And Karen steps up, because we do get the reveal that not only was Sanders under orders to watch him, Karen like has the unpleasant job of shooting him if he defects. And to be fair, she does shoot around him.
Yeah, she's clearly making a decision in that moment. And I think I've mentioned this before, but there's several points throughout that scene in which they refer to Karen as the Master Chief. And I found that very confusing because I thought some Halo action was about to bust out on the screen.
That is her rank.
Yeah, totally.
Have we figured out what branch of the military these guys are? Because if she's a Master Chief, that's some Marine/Navy shit.
Well, I think that they're spacey, which is kind of like the Gundam combined Air Force Navy.
Now, I will say that I was a little bit disappointed in her sort of reaction in that she delivers the line something to the effect of "Every man leaves me in the end." And I felt like that was not a very Karen thing. Like, I get it, and maybe they were building towards that, but it's more badass.
I do like when she just says, like, "You're the worst soldier I've ever met."
You should have known that from episode 1.
Yeah, like, this is not a surprise, Karen.
Now, I will say I loved the animation of when the laser you guys were talking about, when she blasts through this mountain.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. But before the Apsalus can do that, it needs to go into its final form. And if we thought it looked dumb before, everybody look at its little chicken legs.
So, okay, it went from looking like a war sat to looking like some kind of thing from the Black Lagoon is the only thing that's coming to mind right now. Because it went from looking like an actual machine to something biological, which was kind of creepy.
Has anybody played Pokemon Sword and Shield?
Yes.
No.
All right, there's an insect Pokemon you can evolve that becomes a little like a little UFO, and I named it. It has like a big round bulbous head and itty bitty little legs hanging down, and I'm like, as soon as I saw the Apsalus, I was like, that's a Pokemon.
Yeah, and to Spence's point, it is creepy looking, and it does have that insectoid look, but it also looks really fragile with those extended legs. I just thought somebody's just going to grab one of those and snap it right off.
Well, yeah, and we do see that because eventually the sniper realizes that he can shoot it at the leg.
So, before that, though, Jerica makes a move towards basically forming a piece. I know.
Yeah, Ina goes full-on Catra at this point.
And there was an interesting difference in the translation, because she's doing the classic running theme through every Gundam that I've encountered thus far, where she gets out on the deck for some reason, out in open air, while there's, gunfire still going on around her, and she decides she's going to talk them through into a truce. But I believe it was in the dub, she says, "We can win if we play it my way." But in the sub, she says, "This is my war." And it was a very interesting difference in the way. It was almost like she was taking ownership for the battle versus just like, "Oh, I have a plan."
Yeah, I think it's much more of a "this is how I'm fighting."
Yeah, and what I will give the show credit here is that she's gotten a lot more agency now that she's stopped being her brother's girlfriend / slave. Because she's actually like not just defecting, but she's actually making these choices and trying to do better and fix the mistakes that she's made. It's far different from the kind of tropey, regular way that they characterized her earlier on, because her brother at this point is now just a cackling, mustache twirling psychopath, and so any sort of characterization or just development of his character just kind of out the window at this point.
Yeah, like Genias is out to lunch.
And also, they do avoid the one trope I thought was going to happen in this, where they did it a little bit in the earlier parts of the show, where the Apsalus had to charge up, and every time it fired, it was like messing itself up. Mm-hmm. It's just firing this laser in this last part of the show. Like, it's just charging and firing, which I'm actually quite impressed with, because it gives the Apsalus a little bit more of a threat. Because when you do the whole like, oh, it overheated or whatever, we got to wait, it takes a lot of the threat out of the devastation of the weapon, especially after you've seen it take out half of a mountain.
Yes, because so what happens is that she's trying to negotiate this ceasefire. Genias isn't into it. He like burns up the troops on the ground. The Kerrigan? like the med-evac ship that she says, this is a med-evac ship. Don't fire on it. That gets sniped out on like Commander Ryer's order.
Yeah, and I think that's when her brothers tells her, like, see, now you can see the ruthlessness of our enemy. And I'm just like, I mean, you did try to assassinate some of their prisoners of war.
Yeah.
We
all remember that baby, Genias.
Oh yeah. By the way, is this is the second time we've seen a villain in Gundam potentially murder a child? Although
Trace didn't murder the child, he just wasn't going to step in.
He let fate decide.
See, like the more I see of Gundam shows, the more I realize that this is just like the future that Silicon Valley tech moguls want for themselves. Like we are probably like 4 generations from whatever the Tesla version of Xeon is.
Well, hey, Japan does have a walking Gundam.
They do.
It's not agile, but I feel like they're on their way. I mean, we've got those small robots that can do like backflips and stuff. We're almost there, guys. We're almost to having our own Pacific Rim style world.
We're almost at the robot apocalypse. Hang in there.
Yeah, that apocalypse of many cards may come up. So I did also. We may be a little too early for it, but did you guys notice the peekaboo scene? I was a little upset about that whole thing. Where Genias fires the laser rifle. I believe it's Genias when he fires off the thing and essentially tries to murder her. Also shoots her at one point, but I don't know if we've touched... we'll have to touch on that in a moment,
We're going to touch on that. But the first thing that happens is that, like, Genias fires the laser.
Yes.
And she does something where it, like, curves so it doesn't hit the base, but it literally goes through a mountain. And you can, like, see the sky behind the mountain through it.
And it narrowly misses the commanders, as I recall.
Yeah, it narrowly misses a ton of people, and Karen's like really like. And Karen, I think this is when Karen and Sanders bend down to protect the hover tank.
Yeah, their shields are like melted away,
and
from the explosion. It's not even from the actual like the being too close to the beam.
And I do like this scene because I don't know if it's in the dub, but in the sub, Michael prays to Bebe who art in heaven.
Yes. This is also in the.
Wait, is she dead? Has she been dead the whole time?
No. Alador says, "Quit your yapping and start praying." And then Michel goes, "Oh, Bebe, hallowed be thy name." And I'm like, "Wait,
He can't help you, I don't think."
Worship in the bedroom, not while you're in whatever.
A hover tank.
Yeah, that.
Michael wants her to take him to church.
No.
Okay. Oh, also though, before Genias fires the beam, he also fires his pistol, right? And we get the dumb payout on this stupid watch we've been following throughout the whole rest of the show.
Well, we do have the confrontation between Aina and Genias where she just kind of like where she sees Shiro and he sort of puts 2 and 2 together and he's like, "You can't fall in love. Love is what stole our mother from us. Let me show you my real issues."
Yeah, no kidding. And then he shoots her with a revolver, which seems like a very classical sort of weapon for all of the laser weaponry we're toting around here. But I guess what? Fire a lightsaber at her? I don't know what I expect. Anyway,
but I mean,
she catches it with the watch.
But did this revolver forget how to kill? That's the
apparently
that's the true question.
Well, yeah, he shoots her and she falls like out of the open hatch, and it's like beautiful animation. And Shiro like just catches her, and she's like bleeding out of her mouth, and she's knocked out, and he thinks she's dead.
It's a lot of Shiro and her just running around in defunct equipment. Like, because his Gundam gets jacked, and he has a broken arm. Like,
yeah. Well, it's actually at this point that Genias fires up the laser, and she has to essentially rouse herself and then jump out of the way with Shiro. And this is when my least favorite moment of the episode happened, because her backpack peels away, and there's a little animation where basically it's like her outfit's burning off from behind. And then they cut to the next scene and everything's fine. But it just seemed like a weird...
Like, yeah, it seemed like she was very badly burned, but I guess
they
the
just wanted
ship's
to animate showing her
protected her.
butt. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I think that's the thing I'm really hoping for in the next episode. Because we only sort of get a hint at how extensive their injuries are. Like, it's not really clear at the end.
Yeah, they're just, my recollection is they're kind of hugging each other and stumbling around, but not really.
yeah, because I do like how they go to try to take out the Apsalus, because again, with these type of, Death Star weapons, you got to shoot them in the big shooty thing, right? Like, you got to take out the laser thing, and that's how you take down the whole thing. I don't know why this is a common flaw against death beams, but that's what
the GM is trying to take out, like, the legs to try and preserve the weapon as much as possible. And Aina and Shiro are like, oh, hell no. Like, we are just gonna, like, punch it straight in the laser while it's firing, and that'll do the job.
Yeah, and I want to know where is he getting the funding to replace these mobile suits he's just trashed? Like, he's had multiple Gundams just torn to shreds. Like, the entire budget is the 8th MS team.
That's why everyone's pissed at the 8th team, because they keep, like, sopping up all the discretionary funds.
Yeah, they're just eating, like, red beans and rice every day. Like, that's all they can afford.
But meanwhile, we do have one of my favorite parts of the episode, the scene in which Lieutenant Colonel Kojima finds his balls.
Yeah.
And he... Because Ryers, like, orders the GM to just fire on Shiro so that they can get the Apsalus, I guess, for themselves. And Kojima decides he's gonna stop that, and he exits the command, and he does say that it's pretty much clear that he's giving up any chance of advancement in the military by him leaving.
Yeah.
Because he does.
You can fire me, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, he pretty much makes the comment that I've never liked air conditioning, and like headquarters would be too comfortable. And he gets in the hover truck with the 8th MS team,
who are now, after Shiro having punched a laser cannon, him and Aina are essentially missing, and the rest of the MS-8 team has to Avengers up and run out looking for them.
But at the same time, it does hit, like, the cannon does go off one more last time, just so that it can kill the dude who ordered the attack on the medical ship.
Yeah, and I think Shiro lost a leg in this. I think
yes, because we do see at the end, like, he's leaning on her, and, like, his pants are fine, but he's just, like, missing everything below one knee.
I know, Jurd, you were so happy to get the letter to Bebe over the credits.
Well, it was an alternate to the usual endings. I will say I do miss Relena's Zoo still, but
I think it was a nice symmetry because the series started with Michel writing to Bebe. I'm pretty sure that's like the opening scene, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we do have him writing his letters in episode 1, so it's a nice counterpoint.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I was gonna say the scene where Aina and Shiro, he says we still haven't found Aina or Shiro. And then it cuts to that silhouette of them walking away. I thought that sort of escape vignette was really appropriate.
Yeah, and we do see this little like apparently camp that they've set up while they're treating each other's injuries, and there is a grave there that is presumably Genias's.
And I definitely want to know how in the world he survived losing a leg and they're just in a cave. Like,
well, maybe the laser cauterized it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, they found a whole box of wrenches.
Gonna make him a new leg out of just a large set of wrenches.
You don't know.
Yes, I mean, to be fair, we know the power of wrenches.
I think she found like that stash of good drugs Genius was giving all the workers so that they would like
keep working
without sleeping. And she's like, okay, take a few of these, and then when we get to somewhere safe, you can sleep for a year.
To Spence's point, though, I will say that if we're kind of considering looping back to the first episode, this does also echo them getting sort of space lost for a little bit there in that first period where they're kind of off together and in the space Hulk.
Yeah, sadly, they're minus a watch and a leg.
Well, the watch did save Ina's life.
That is true.
Yeah. Actually, does that bring us to our favorite moments?
I think we've covered, unless anyone has anything else they want to talk about, we've covered the episode.
Yeah, I think that's favorite moments time.
Okay, sure. I'm gonna straight up say my favorite moment was that whole sequence with the shot and then realizing it was the watch. Like I knew it was coming, but it was so well animated and it was really well done, and I just it was more of a payoff than I saw this coming.
Yeah, like her falling and him catching her had some real like Laputa Castle in the Sky vibes to me. Just like the way it was animated, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they unloaded the animation budget in these episodes.
Yes, like everything went into this episode.
I would say my favorite moment is probably that realization moment when she misses on purpose with the giant death laser, and everybody's like, "Holy shit, that thing's legit!" Like it could have killed us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like that moment because again, it gives that thing some stakes. Like we've seen this thing literally fall out of the sky and like hurt itself and like gimp around and like not be an effective weapon, and now we're seeing that this is what they were going for. This is the thing that they really wanted to edge their hopes on to win this war, and it showed you that with enough time and backup it probably could have.
Yeah,
but when you murder your research team, people kind of stop wanting to help you.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an equivalent to the Zhang in the original series, where it's just like this giant killer, like final boss that Zan just starts putting its eggs into instead of like just having an army.
Fear of this battle station will keep the systems in line. Indeed. What about you, Spence?
I think for a favorite moment, it would be when Michel is with Sergeant. I don't like air conditioning or whatever, and they're driving, and Michel goes, "I thought what you did was really cool. Well, I don't want him to die, but I also want to see him get court-martialed." It's nice to have there be consequences for the heroes.
Yes. Like, I did like him, like, sitting in that truck being like, I don't want him to kill him, but I want to court-martial his ass so badly.
But won't they kill him for a court-martial?
Well, no, because court-martial would just be maybe you go to jail.
I think he just really wants to dishonorably discharge him.
So give him what he wants. What do you say?
Yeah.
I quit. No, you can't quit. I fired you.
I really want to fire you.
We'll say that you quit, but I want to fire you. Okay, I'll let you get the benefits, but let me fire somebody. Okay.
Let me say it though. Yeah. What about you?
I did like the scene where he was leaving, where he was sort of like, "There still have to be rules, and I listened to you give the order to blow up a medical ship, and I am out."
Yeah.
Like, him storming off was probably my favorite part. The thing I felt was
the dude. He went against the rules of war.
Yeah, like Like it is nice, like through all of this series, to actually have someone say, "No, that thing you did is a war crime, and I'm not going to be a party to it," because we've seen a lot of
war crimes.
Yeah, a lot of war crimes, and people are just like, "Yep, war is terrible."
Yeah. And to have somebody acknowledge it is nice.
Yeah. I do think that there was sort of a missed opportunity in this episode to have just some sort of faceless dude we've never seen before in the GM snipers, because like I think that would have been a lot more impactful if they had sort of taken the time to establish that this is one of the other numbered teams, or this is the guy that Sanders poured the drink on 2 episodes ago,
right,
or something like that.
Somebody from.
But I think they killed all those guys in the tunnel last episode.
Yeah, with the explosions.
Yeah.
But like you're right. It could have been somebody like I don't like air conditioning man. Like it could have been somebody like some of his people that we saw around him early on, like giving a little callback, or even some of those people we saw in the bar when they were asking about like, that village of whatever's and all that other stuff. Like when they were talking about the rebels and stuff. Like that would have been a good kind of little ribbon to put on the episode.
So here's my question. This had a very clear ending. Why? Why is there another episode after this?
Because anime has to end twice.
Well, as I recall, like people were like the ending wasn't popular, so they made like a short 20-minute thing, and it ended up going in front of a movie.
Okay.
So, that's right. Because was there a movie for this?
I don't think it was for this movie. I think it was something like the Gundam Seed, like compilation movie or something.
Okay, so my very vague memory of some Wikipedia reading at some point, there is a version of this which is much more told as Shiro being court-martialed for the events that are happening here, and it's more of a movie format, if I recall correctly. So it may be part of that. Because I know there was some fresh animation made specifically for that.
But yeah, we do have a little capstone on the series, and that is going to be episode 12, Final Report, which we are going to be watching next time. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to say about this episode?
No, I honestly, I personally like this ending. I don't necessarily feel like this needs the capstone, because I feel like we got everything that was put out in the story, right? Like Shiro and they left, they gave up on war, the villain died, and the 8th MS team is still technically in good hands, and that was it. It's kind of like Shane riding off into the sunset. Is he right or not? Nobody knows. And I think that's fine. I think that's an acceptable way to end this.
Like, I haven't seen the second ending in like a dozen years, so it will be interesting to see it and see how it goes compared to the rest of the series.
The one thread I would have liked to have seen maybe tweaked just a little more, and I know we do have some closure on it from a couple episodes ago, would be the gorillas. Like, I don't necessarily feel like they got their ending. And
I think that's what the movie is in part. Or the last episode is in part. It's like what happened to Kiki.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's find out.
Indeed.
But until next time, you can find all of our episode show notes up at nostalgiapilots.com. Find everything I do at hughjodonnell.com.
You can find me over at skinner.fm.
You can find everything I do at nerdswithvoices.com.
And you can find me at resonantmoon.com.
And until next week, she really fired it.
You fire.